Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Our Terminator twofer concludes by sending us back in time! All the way back to 2009 with my 35th episode, Superman vs. the Terminator. It was a different time, a time when I got transported into the future and met my future self, who for some reason was still living with my parents. Take that, future me! I've moved twice since then! Instead of living with my parents, I live in a basement with a woman who throws ponies at me! Wait. So let's talk about this mini. As a refresher, in the first issue, Sarah Connor and her son John were walking through a carnival when they were attacked by a Terminator. Fortunately, Superman was nearby and able to destroy the robot because this is kind of a one-sided match. They told him about the robot apocalypse of the future, with John explaining that the Terminators were probably able to track him down because he entered a toy store contest for a new bicycle under his real name. Truly, Skynet's most underrated weapon of death, the bicycle industry. Skynet sent 2 more Terminators after them, but the situation was made worse due to the cyborg Superman recovering the remains of the first Terminator and downloading information about Superman and his weaknesses into it so that in the future, Skynet will recover the data and know how to fight him. As a quick reminder, the cyborg Superman is actually a Mr. Fantastic XP, someone who blames Superman for the accident that originally killed him and his other Fantastic Four knockoffs, and eventually was part of the whole death and rebirth of Superman thing. Anyway, while Superman is still able to defeat the 2 Terminators, somehow a time storm starts up that sends Superman into the year 2032, where he meets the future version of the hero Steel, who's working with the human resistance against the machines. And that's where we left off 8 years ago. Oh, also that was apparently around the time Linkara came to this universe from another dimension due to Dr. Insano screwing around with hypertime, which basically was the true beginning of all the weird-ass shenanigans that happen on this show that never seem to interrupt the actual reviews and instead wait until the credits have rolled. A common occurrence for people who review things on the internet, I'm sure.
So today on Bootleg Zones, I'd like to introduce you to the...
The old playlist. I am no mere bootleg, but a robot from the future who will fight you over the course of a year, leading to a final battle where you force me to question the ethics of my position.
No, that's just dumb.
So anyway, let's dig into Superman vs. the Terminator #2 and see how the Man of Steel fights off literal Men of Steel.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a birdie hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara, coins, robots, Amazon and trucks. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
The cover is okay, depicting the cyborg Superman putting his hand through a tattered Superman logo, although it seems a bit small to be the one from his costume. Did he just see a baby-sized version of it and get really pissed off? Otherwise, the only other weird thing about the cover is the border that compresses the actual cover artwork to, like, postcard size. That would have been a neat tie-in for the 90s. Buy this comic and get a free postcard depicting a murderous cyborg symbolically killing Superman. We open where we left off, Superman meeting with Steel and the Resistance, although now he's draped in the American flag. Because this might be the robot apocalypse, but it's an American robot apocalypse!
America, fuck yeah!
The Resistance heard that a new, advanced Terminator had been sent back in time, but it turned out to just be a Roomba. We attacked Skynet's time displacement equipment. With a little recalibrating on my part, we tried to reel the robot back. Instead, we got you. And I've got to tell you, Superman, nice. The Resistance has taken charge of this laboratory without Skynet realizing, rigging the computers to send false data to it. Steel introduces Superman to the future John Connor. "We already met. I saved your life about 30 minutes ago. I remember, except for me, it's more like 30 years. Our lives are filled with constant dread and terror. We have fun. I've spent the last 3 decades wondering why you disappeared in the year 2000. Then I saw Superman Returns and understood why." Superman wonders if that means he never returned to the past. "You're here, aren't you? And we certainly can't send you back. I mean, is that like we have a time machine or something?" I mean, maybe this place doesn't actually have the time machine equipment in it, but what the hell is the time displacement equipment Steel was talking about earlier then? Anyway, Steel takes Superman out for a little flight into the ruins of Metropolis. Superman sees the war-ravaged streets of what was once his city. The skeletons lying where they fell. The roaming packs of wild dogs. Well, at least the wild dogs have plenty of bones to play with. I just noticed that sadly the writer, Alan Grant, has the same kind of writing quirk that Frank Miller does, bolding random words. I've been told that this is a lettering trick sometimes employed to try to make words in comics pop, and it is utterly ridiculous and stupid. Bolding a word means you're emphasizing it, which can alter the meaning of a sentence. The good news is that Grant is not nearly as bad as it is with Miller, but it's still pretty bad. "Not many heroes survived Skynet's takeover. I was one of the lucky ones. Captain Tax Time is operating out of Canada, but he's actually working with the machines. Something about bringing down oppressive tax structures." He thinks about how much it sucks that humanity has been mostly killed off, comparing it in many ways to how Krypton is dead. But enough of that emotional stuff, time for them to be attacked by cannibals. Yeah, I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that there are cannibals running around the post-apocalyptic environment. I'm just confused why they're essentially cavemen with Stone Age weapons. Like, how has Skynet not killed these guys yet? Anyway, they throw a net on our heroes, and Superman has no time for your bullcrap, so he just rips the net up and Steel tells them to go away. There's not a lot of food left. The Resistance won't take them in because they can't be trusted. One minute you're teaching them how to use a gun, the next they're pouring barbecue sauce on your arm. Steel says he turned the Daily Planet into an archive. An archive of what isn't said, though I presume of knowledge, history, and all that of mankind. However, in this case, he kept a spare costume for Soups. We cut back to Metropolis, then present day in the year 2000. As per instructions, Superman left for Sarah Connor. She and the young John are meeting with Lois Lane, who's calling for some assistance. "Who are you talking to? If your story's true, there are a few friends in town who should be informed." Yeah, Booster Gold, why the hell didn't you tell us that humanity would be destroyed by robots? Of course it's true! How dare you question my story about a robot from the future who went back in time completely naked to murder my son, who I've been teaching how to use guns and weapons? Lois says that the two can stay at her place for a while, but another Terminator enters and walks right up to the table. "Is there a problem, officer?" "You have not received your complimentary breadsticks." They manage to knock it down, Sarah telling John to make a run for it while the Terminator prepares to kill her. However, Lois grabs a nearby fire hose, convenient that this bistro has that, and turns it on, blasting the Terminator and distracting it. Unfortunately, the Terminator gets a few shots in on the hose's pipes, killing the pressure. Fortunately, they're saved by the arrival of the Linda Danvers Supergirl. As a reminder, this Supergirl is actually a synthetic protoplasm from a pocket universe who merged with a human being and became an Earthborn angel. Because superhero comics are the only things more convoluted than the Terminator timeline. She uses a telekinetic blast to destroy it, but elsewhere, the cyborg Superman is meeting with what I presume to be that advanced Terminator Steel had warned about. A lady in a leather crop top and pants. "I've been expecting you. I'm not usually one for Tinder dates, but here we are. Your message has been received. This unit has been programmed as liaison. We will exchange data." And by that, I mean insurance information. I kinda hit your car on my way in, sorry. "The Terminator is cold and logical, a sentient machine which clinically obeys its programming and kills without question. Cyborg has a human mind, ruled by human emotion, driven by his hatred for just one being, Superman. Can this mismatched pair get along in the big city?" Check it out, the monitor display interfacing with the Terminator describes her as Terminatrix. That is laughably dumb, but also kind of humorous in hindsight, since Terminatrix is an unofficial name for the TX from Terminator 3. Anyway, the two agree to work together. The plan is simple. Skynet will send a wave of Terminators back from the future to act as decoys, with Metropolis as a battle zone. John Connor will die, Superman will die, and the age of the machine will begin. You know, many people questioned my end credits text from last time, referring to Skynet just sending like 50 Terminators back in time, but apparently they were just waiting for this comic to do it. Back in the future, Superman and Steel are helping the Resistance in taking out one of Skynet's bases. Problem: your enemy is not human. It has no feelings, knows no mercy, no remorse. It is not truly alive. It's a YouTube copyright bot. Solution: hit the enemy, and hit hard. Well, going with my joke a second ago, I admit I've never tried to punch the copyright claim. Our heroes storm in, managing to destroy Skynet's reinforcements fairly easily, especially thanks to Superman, well, being Superman. Inside, they discover that it's a robot production factory. Steel wants to keep it intact so they can reprogram some robots to fight against Skynet. Back in the year 2000, Lois gets Supergirl up to speed on the time-traveling killbots, and I just love her expression in these panels.
Dull surprise!
Yet another Terminator attacks. You know, with as common as superhero battles are in the DC universe, I've got to imagine that the real front page story is going to be the epidemic of clothing thefts. This Terminator comes equipped with heat vision to use on Supergirl, but as I said, she's an Earthborn angel, so she just sprouts some flaming wings, picks him up, and drops him to the ground. Well, that's what you get when you make your new models out of cheaper material, Skynet. Back in the future, Steel and Superman go deeper into the factory to investigate it, Superman discovering that the walls are lined with lead to block his X-ray vision. He wonders if it's a coincidence, until a giant robot emerges from a portal? I'm not sure what that is. I am Sky One, embodiment of all Skynet power. So a British TV channel is a tool of Skynet? Sky One blasts Steel and Superman tries to attack, but is knocked away by the machine. Mankind will fall. I am the next evolutionary step. Yeah, it says that now, but then the patches start coming in and it crashes every 5 minutes. You cannot stop me. I'll find a way. Well, you see, you are an android, but me, I am a man! Ugh, Youngblood action figure. You can have it back. And so our comic ends with Sky One emitting a beam of kryptonite energy at Superman, knocking him to the ground. Mankind is all but extinct. Machine-kind shall reign forever! Until you're secretly assassinated by Prince Machine-kind II! This comic is okay, although a bit silly with some of its use of Terminator mythology. I mean, I joked about just sending 50 Terminators back, but geez, Skynet has a lot of resources to just keep sending Terminators over and over and over. And at this point, if Skynet's not on the verge of collapse, why not just start sending back T-1000s or whatever? I mean, let's be fair, time travel in the Terminator movies requires a lot of analysis and assumptions, especially in regards to it probably being multiverse theory, considering all the stuff that happens over this many movies, but it presents a very different sort of situation when it's in the DC universe. This issue advances the story a bit further with Supes meeting up with the Resistance and whatnot, but there isn't even any lip service to him needing to get back to the present day to help prevent this stuff from happening, even though this is a world with an apparent abundance of time machines. Or hell, even the emotional fallout of the idea that he may be stuck in a future away from most of his friends and loved ones. Still, the story itself is just fine and the artwork fairly decent. Although since Superman is in the future fighting Skynet directly, this is technically now Supergirl versus the Terminator instead. Next time, the Terminator twofer is over, but we've still got more shenanigans involving our technology, with more from the Tandy Computer Whiz Kids.
This is...
You had a right to know. You're under no obligation to continue working with me if you so choose.
This is just give me a minute here. There has to be something else you can do. I mean, you're building a spaceship out there.
Comicron 2 will be the first line of defense, certainly, but I know Vice. He's smarter, he's faster, he's always 3 pieces ahead on the board. We need more than just a single ship if we're gonna stop him. You know damn well what the Outer Gods can do based on the legends alone.
It's just the scope of it. I mean, I'm just a thief for crying out loud.
Maybe so. But you might be my last ally left.
No, I get it. Someone as unhinged as that Vice guy, holding that much power? No, we gotta stop him however we can.
Thank you. I've been forced to move up my timetables a bit. Since Alan hasn't been knocking on my door as of late, I don't think they've told him about my plans. Comicron 2 will launch hopefully within the month, and I'll have access to the satellite network by then.
Nice work, Linksano.
Well, I did build the things, so I know how to activate them remotely and tap into the feed.
Well, question is, what do we do now?
We should probably tell Alan.
Unfortunately, he's not answering his calls right now. Actual government work has been keeping him tied up for too long.
Look, are we really okay with this, going up against the kid?
He has to be stopped before he actually does something that will get the government turned against him. If we can prevent him from accessing the satellite network, it'll buy us the time we need to convince him to see reason.
Fortunately, the security systems for the house are not fully operational yet. That means that while he's on board Comicron 2 launching it, we'll be able to access the ground-based systems without any difficulty.
What good'll that do?
Nimue is still housed inside of the Vigilant right now. Until she's plugged into Comicron 2, she won't have her full capabilities again. Unfortunately, Comicron 2's main data core will not be operational for at least another year. Without Nimue's full computational abilities, Linkara will rely upon a link between the ground-based systems and the ones aboard Comicron 2 in order to access the satellites. We disable the ground-based systems and Linkara will be stopped.
Let's just hope he will be reasonable about all this.
Unfortunately, if our last conversation was any indication, if he was still reasonable, we wouldn't have to do this at all.